The next book that it picked, I've actually read this book. See, I told you guys I am like worn thin. I'm so giddy. I'm so freaking excited for the books that this chose. Welcome to the video. Hi, my name is Autumn. I'm a reader and a writer, and today is going to be the next episode of my TBR game. So if you don't know this game, it's called the R-gorithm game. I use a software called RStudio. It is going to pick the 4 books that I'm going to read for May and June. Before we get started, let me talk about the books that were selected for the last 2 months, give them a yay or nay, and then we are going to jump over, update the Excel spreadsheet, and then get into the game. We are going in no particular order because I have 2 different stacks over here. The first book that we're going to talk about is Funny You Should Ask by Alyssa Sussman. This was my priority shuffle. Yay, I finished it and it was a 3-star. Yeah. It's a 3-star. So this next one was an audiobook and it's my backlist, and it's Evil Has a Name by 3 different authors. Paul Holes, Peter McDonnell, and Jim Clemente. This is nonfiction and I do not rate nonfiction. I listened to this audiobook and it was so good. So freaking good. The next book up, I forgot what the last 2 shuffles were. I think they were just 2 random shuffles. This next one is Age of Myth by Michael J. Sullivan. Nay. As of today, which is April 21st, I have not even cracked this book open. And then the next one up is The Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wang. I have not cracked this one open either because the last 2 months have been crazy. I do talk a little bit more about this in my reading vlog that's tied to my TBR videos. I will go into a little bit more depth over there. But long story short, I'm in grad school. It's the last semester. Things are chaotic. I have internships, work, school, research jobs, all the things that I have put on my own plate. I just have not had a chance to sit and read. So this one's also an A. And then we had one book that was a rollover from episode 1, and it was Priority of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I am pleased to say that I didn't finish it, but I got to 50% or more. We had updated the rule for the previous video to say that if I read 50% or more of a book, it's considered completed for the TBR game. For the game's purposes, I have finished this book. Yay me, but I want to say I am definitely going to be finishing this book. It's just a chunky book and I'm a slow reader, especially when it's just me and my eyeballs and nobody's reading the story to me. It's going to take a little bit of time for me to finish this. I will no longer be talking about this book in the TBR videos, but I will keep mentioning it in the reading vlogs that go alongside these. So those are all of the books that I had for March and April. We're going to have 2 of those books roll over for May and June. But let's go ahead and head over to the computer. We're going to update that Excel sheet, run those codes, aka shuffles. We'll come back over here to talk about those books. So you can see a big old stack. Hopefully it won't be too big. Hopefully the TBR game will be nice to me for the 3rd episode. And then we'll close out the video. The next step for this video is I want us to quickly mark all of the books that I read or I'm like in the middle of on the Excel sheet. This Excel sheet is going to be uploaded into the R-gorithm game, like the statistical software that I use that picks the books that I'm going to read for the next couple of months. And I have to update it because if I use an old version, it could possibly select the books that I have already read. What we're going to focus on is going to be this category here. This is status. We need to change. I'm just going to search for Evil Has a Name, not that one. Evil Has a Name. So this one, can you see it? That's at the bottom. We want to change this to red. Funny You Should Ask is right here, and it was red. And I'm also going to give it its star rating, which is right here. I think I said it was a 3. I feel pretty good about a 3. We're going to take off Priority of the Orange Tree so it's not picked, and then we'll fill that one in later. I didn't do this the last one, I don't think, and we got very lucky that it was not picked twice. All 3 of those books just happen to be all near each other, which is pretty crazy. Here we are. I hope this is starting to look familiar to you guys. This is going to be reading in that Excel sheet that we just updated. And then we have our first shuffle, which is always our priority shuffle. This time I'm going to be a little more picky with the books that we're going to choose. Only because the 2 fantasy books that are on the list to roll over, they are chunky boys. I am going to try to be a little bit kinder to myself and try and pick books that are a little bit smaller and a little more specific. For our shuffle shuffle 2, we're going to filter for no series. Any book that is a series book, those are going to be excluded from this second shuffle. And you see it's blank because I'm actually going to type that out in front of you guys, and hopefully I don't mess up the code on camera because it's going to be really awkward. And then shuffles number 3 and 4, I am going to filter these for only like my horror. I spelled mystery wrong. I feel like those books are 9 times out of 10 a little bit shorter, but I also want to say that I haven't read a single horror, mystery, thriller, or anything kind of like in this genre at all this year. I feel like ever since I started this R-gorithm game, it's only choosing like fantasy and contemporary, which I own a lot of fantasy, so I think that has something to do with why, because there's just more fantasy books on my shelves. I'm really missing my horror, thrillers, and mysteries because that's my genre. I absolutely love those books. So you can see this is the code that we're gonna run, and it's gonna pull it from the genre category, which is like one of those columns that was going down, and it's only gonna pull those, is it 4? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Forgot suspense up here. See, I told you guys I am like worn thin. We are going to type out this next code, which is going to be for shuffle 2. And again, we're filtering it for no series. So we are just doing standalones. I'm not gonna like really explain what I'm doing because I feel like it might just get confusing, but this is what I do. And we want to filter it for. Let me just make sure that that looks right. Pulling it from the TBR, title, shuffle 1, title. For shuffle number 1, for our priority TBR, I'm 100% not mad at this book. I'm actually really excited for this one. For our shuffle number 2, we filtered for no series. I'm not mad about this one either. For shuffles 3 and 4, we filtered for only horror, mystery, thriller, suspense, and or crime, and we got 2 books. I'm not upset about any of these. We're gonna have to do a little bit of tweaking with the 2 horror books. This is solid. This is so solid. Let's go ahead and hop back over there. I'm so giddy. I'm so freaking excited for the books that this chose. I actually feel like I'm gonna be able to do all of this and probably even catch up with the 2 books that I'm now going to have to roll over. So let's start with the priority TBR shuffle. The book that it picked is The Sirens by Amelia Hart. I've never read a book by this author. I own this one, and then Wayward, I have it on my shelves. I don't own it. It's borrowed from a friend and I'll probably end up keeping it forever. And it says that they tried to drown their voices, but the sisterhood of the sea cannot be silenced. I think that this book follows 3 different women over many centuries. Yeah, because it looks like there's a 2019 timeline, a 1999 timeline, and an 1800 timeline that follows twin sisters. So I'm assuming that all of these women are connected in some way, shape, and form. I am here for it. Okay, so the next one that it picked, this is so fun. Let me pull it up really quick. I don't own this book. I am going to have to get this book from the library, which is perfect because then now I'm reading books that are on my library TBR, so that's absolutely perfect. It's Toto by AJ Hackwith. It's a fantasy retelling, but I believe it's from Toto's perspective from The Wizard of Oz. So it's from Toto, Dorothy's dog's perspective, offering a witty, modern, and submersive take on the classic story. The book features a tough-talking Toto, new characters like a blue jay named Crow, and explores themes relevant to the modern age, subverting expectations of the original tale with humor and contemporary sensibilities. So super pumped for this. I actually did not know that this book existed until my friend and I went to one of our local indie bookstores, and she picked this book off the shelf mainly because of the way it looked. Neither one of us ended up purchasing the book. That's how this book ended up on my library TBR, because I was like, this seems really fun. I don't know if I'd own this book, but the whole concept sounds really fun. So this is book number 2. This was the filter for the no series. Then the last 2 books for the 3rd and 4th shuffle were my horrors. The first one is What Feasts at Night by T. Kingfisher. I have read the first one. Actually, I don't know, 3. I own the first one. I've already read this one, loved it so much. I own the second one, and I think at the beginning of last year, I started listening to this audiobook, and then my library ended up losing the audiobook, so I never finished it, but I just remember really enjoying it. So I ended up getting this for Christmas because I wanted to read it. I am so excited, and she's small, she's cute, and she's just what I need to letting me catch up with some of these heftier fantasy books. The next book that it picked, I've actually read this book, but it's The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I've read this book, however, I have not read book 2, which is The Perfect Divorce. One of our rules is if I've read the first book and it's gotten selected, I'll move on to the next book. So according to our guidelines, I will be reading book 2, but I just wanted to show you that this was book 1. I'll put book 2 on the screen. I think The Perfect Divorce follows the same set of characters, but I think what got built up in book 1 kind of gets deconstructed in book 2 is from what I've gathered. I'm excited for that one. And I'll be totally honest, I think I'm going to probably purchase that book because I really love Geneva Rose. I just sneezed a whole bunch of times. Sorry if it looks like I started to cry. I didn't. I mean, I'm excited. I'm not so excited to where I'm going to cry. We're not at that point yet. The whole stack for May and June is going to be these guys. Because remember, I had 2 books that rolled over. We had The Age of Myth, and then we have The Sword of Kaigan, which also rolled over. Then we have The Perfect Divorce by Geneva Rose, Sea Kingfishers, What Feasts at Night, and The Sirens by Amelia Hart, plus Toto by AJ, what was it? Hackowith? I think that was her last name. This is a stack. I actually think I'm going to be able to redeem myself. I have one more chance to finish these 2 books or to get to 50% of these 2 books by the end of June. That is everything that I have for you guys in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Keep an eye out for the reading vlog that goes with the previous episode's TBR. I'm going to start working on this TBR vlog very, very soon. But that's going to be it for this video, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.